Going now. Here we are assembling the wheel bearing on the left main landing gear on the Cessna 152. Don Watkins and his son, Don Watkins III, have cleaned the wheel bearings, and there are some wheel bearings on the ground there actually sitting on the paper to keep the grease clean after they've done them. And they've put the bearings on the inner side of the bearing race and put the washer on. We're going to do the same thing with the tapered bearings going over the axle on the outer side of the bearing assembly. And then a washer goes on, and then a dust cover with it has a felt washer in the dust cover.
You want me to show them the felt? Doesn't matter, Walt?
Yes, I'd like to see the felt. You take it all the way out of that ring if you want to.
Can you? I didn't even know
Yes.
that. Okay.
And did you wash that felt?
Yes.
You do not wash the felt.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay. Chris said
You
no.
only blow the air off it, blow the dirt off of it.
I thought about that. Okay.
Now, if there's any solvent in that felt, it's going to get that grease thin. It's going to dilute the grease.
I can wipe it down.
Now, one other thing I want to mention to you is that you don't have to assemble that wheel the way you're doing it.
Oh, okay.
You can pull it off that axle.
Okay.
Let's go on and pull it off.
Okay, go ahead, Dolly, pull it off.
And yeah, grab the bearing as soon as you can so it doesn't hit the ground.
Don't hit that.
Okay. The inside bearing already has its retainer on its washer, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you can do the same thing with the outside one.
Okay,
Put all of that together
yeah.
before you put it on the axle.
Good call. I'm all straight with it.
You can raise that airplane up a little bit if you need to.
Okay. Now go ahead and do this reset.
Yeah, you can put the bearing in now.
Bring back in with the race retainers fine.
And the washer's on top of the bearing.
There's your retainer. This goes on top.
The dust felt is in the channel washer. I call it a channel washer. And it needs to sit down flush enough against that. By the way, now it's a good idea to take a look at that channel washer. It should sit in there without any pressure required to put it in there.
Oh, this one here?
Yes.
So that means it's out of round.
If it's out of round or deformed or it's been, scratched on its outer edge, it needs to be shaped back again or replaced. And then the retaining washer goes in so that it fits in the groove. And you made sure that the inside retaining washer was in its groove, nice and securely all the way around.
Come around this way, but always work around that way.
I have seen those retainers pop out.
Which one, Walt?
The half moon retainer you're putting in, the crescent retainer.
Yeah.
And the bearing will chew that airplane up pretty good.
Okay.
So you want to make sure it's definitely in its groove all the way around. Another point is that the wheel itself should be deflated before taking it off the airplane, because that aluminum hub will explode and put you in the hospital if there's a crack in that wheel in the wheel hub. I saw a film once of somebody who did that on a vehicle, and he had to carry him to the hospital. Somebody had to carry him to the hospital with his eyeball hanging out and using a paper cup taped to his face to keep the eyeball moist.
No kidding.
It will slap you pretty hard.
I know that. The truckers. I know what a trucker's cage is.
Yeah. See, that's a lot easier putting it on that way, isn't it?
All right. Now your nut.
And the nut is clean, correct?
Yeah,
Everything's been cleaned. And you tighten that. Yep. And you're only looking for enough torque to prevent any side-to-side wiggling or bearing moving. And on larger airplanes, we actually torque it down to a set torque and then back it off to squeeze the grease of the bearing out of its location, so you get a definite final torque.
We're just going to seat the bearing and then back off.
And then you spin the wheel right now to make sure that it doesn't. Cessna on its nose wheels, and I haven't seen a technical spec on the mains for these airplanes, but on its nose wheel, Cessna wants you to tighten that nut so that when you do spin it at a pretty brisk pace or hard spin, that you only get 1 or 2 turns out of it.
Oh, okay.
And that looks like it feels good. That's a
About right.
good amount.
No play this way.
Yeah, you got a little bit, and that's better than the nose wheel. The nose wheel they want sort of tight because of nose wheel shimmy.
Oh, okay.
These are a little less tight, but they're not as, not very much looser.
Okay.
And then a long cotter pin, and then that is a new cotter pin, correct?
Did you want a new one?
Brand new one,
Okay.
every single time. This is going on YouTube, Don Watkins and Don Watkins.
Yeah, right. 18.